Hello everyone, good evening to all of you. Before I start with this orientation session, I would want a confirmation from you all. So you can always post your questions into the live chat. I'll respond to the questions towards the end of the session. But before I start, can you please give me a confirmation in the chat, in the live chat, if you are able to, if the audio and video is clear to you? I know in live there is a bit lag, but you can respond to my questions. Fine. So let us begin with the session. I think the audio and video both are clear to you all. Fine. If you have any doubts or queries during the course of the session, you can put down your queries into the chat and to the live chat. Towards the end of the session, I'll be taking questions from you all and I'll respond to as many questions as possible. So let us begin with the session now. So this is basically the orientation class. It's going to be an introductory session or an orientation class for the crash course of this year for target, that is 2024, GATE 2024. So as you probably are aware, we at Knowledge Point KP GATE classes, we are starting a crash course from day after tomorrow, that is 4th of November. And this is going to be the introductory class to that. So on 4th of November, we'll be starting a study with the subject. Now, it is very important for everyone who is preparing for competitive exams like GATE to have a thorough idea on some aspects before you start your preparation, and this session is all about that. Our session is going to focus this particular session is mainly an introduction where we will discuss about the exam, the preparation, the details of the crash course, particularly what will be our approach, how should you prepare now that we are just around. So the exam will be in the month of February, so you just have this month of November, December and Jan, 3 months. So in these 3 months, what is the most effective way for your preparation? That's what our focus is going to be in today's session. So let me first take you through the overview of today's brief session. So the session will be approximately an hour long, depending on the Q&A towards the end. So an overview of today's session, we will be starting firstly by discussing some important takeaways from the past GATE exam. So these are basically takeaways based on GATE 2023, particularly about the result. So why is it important to know about 2023 result? It is important to us to understand about the cutoff, about the percentage of people qualifying the examination, about the marks distribution in 2023 exam. The reason we go through the result of 2023 is to allow you to set a target. What is it you're getting into? You should know that. So before you prepare for the exam, you need to set a target for yourself, which college you want to get into and what's the rank you need for that and what is the marks you need to score for that. So that's going to be our focus in the first part, some key takeaways based on which you can build up your target. We will then go through the exam pattern. This is something which is constant for any competitive exam. Before you learn or prepare for any competitive test, it is of utmost importance to know the pattern of the exam. So we will discuss about the pattern of the exam, number of questions, the sections in it, the parts in it, basically the time duration for it, the question types, what are the various types of questions, what about the negative marking. We will discuss all those points in the exam pattern. We will then go through the syllabus. There is an official syllabus which is published by the GATE authorities every year. So we will be going through the updated syllabus for the GATE examination, the architecture syllabus. Then we will go through the crash course structure. Now that we know about the exam, the syllabus, we will get to know the preparation strategy, how we at Knowledge Point will be helping you in these 3 months of duration in completing your preparation in the best possible manner. We will then go through the preparation pattern and the resources. So basically you will be getting some resources from our end when you enroll into the crash course. So that's what we are going to focus on over here. And finally, we will be ending the session by briefly discussing our past results and also by concluding it with a question and answer session. Any questions you put into the live chat during the course of the session, or also you can ask towards the end of the session. I'll respond to as many queries as I can towards the end. So that's going to be the overview for today's session. So let us begin with the first point, and I would say the most important introductory point for today's session. That's going to be the key takeaways based on which you can actually build up your future target. what is it you're targeting for. So first important, so there are three key takeaways which I've compiled over here, which I thought should you all should be aware of before getting into gate preparation, gate architecture and planning preparation. So even before that, if I would inform you what is gate required for, I hope you are aware on it. But this crash course or this session is mainly for those who have decided that okay, I'll need to prepare for gate exam. So if you made that decision, then this crash course is for you. So to just help you on that aspect, gate exam is basically a entrance test which you require to qualify to get into your master's degree in MArch, MPlan and also MTech courses like construction management, transportation engineering across colleges in the country, including IITs, NITs, SPAs and also other colleges which take candidates to GATE exam. Not only that, GATE exam, GATE score is also considered for government tests, government procurement processes like Airport Authority of India is a public sector undertaking PSU which does recruit architects sometimes based on GATE score. Not only PSUs, there are other government agencies also, like recently there is a contractual post, there were a set of contractual posts which were released in notification by Haryana Public Service Commission where they are recruiting planners through GATE examination or GATE score. So it is considered for various recruitment processes as well. So that is something which you need to be aware of with respect to the importance of GATE examination. Anyways, let us get into the details of the exam now. Now that you have selected, you are preparing for this examination. Let us first go through some key takeaways. Point number one, the cutoff. What is the minimum passing mark? That changes from year to year. Every year the cutoff is determined based on the average performance of all the candidates who are attending the examination. So based on that, the cutoff changes every year. So this year, that's 2023 GATE examination, the cutoff was 33.7. So it was a bit of the cutoff was towards lower end, I would say. Generally, if you look at the past 5 years, the cutoff has ranged or varied anywhere between 41 marks to 33.7, which was lowest this year. So generally the cutoff you can say is around 40 to 30 to 40 marks. That's the range for it, depending on the difficulty level of the question paper and the performance of the candidates who are attempting the test. The cutoff varies, generally 30 to 40. Last year it was 34. So that's basically the passing score. Now what is the cutoff mark? Cutoff mark is basically the qualifying mark. Only if you get a score above that, you will get your GATE score, you will get a scorecard. If you're having a score below this, below the cutoff, you will not get the GATE scorecard. And a GATE scorecard is very important and the most important document from GATE exam point of view for your admission into colleges. A GATE scorecard is valid for 3 years. So if you are getting a GATE scorecard in 2024, it will be valid for admissions in the year 24, 25 and also in 2026. So you will have a validity for the GATE scorecard for 3 years, and to get a GATE scorecard you should clear the cutoff marks, which is approximately 30 to 40 depending on the difficulty level of the question paper. That's point number one. Coming to point number two, the percentage of people who are qualifying, just to have a sense on the difficulty level, how many people do qualify. So last year the cutoff percentage was 21.26, or you can say around 21% it is. So out of every 100 people writing the examination, now this is percentage of the people who have appeared for the test. Generally the number of applicants, total number of applicants is slightly higher. Not all go and attempt the test. 21% of the people who have attempted the examination have qualified last year's GATE, that is GATE 2023. So 20 to 21 students per every 100 candidates, that's the qualifying rate in the GATE exam. I'm talking about GATE architecture specifically because GATE examination is conducted for various subjects and various departments. I'm just talking about architecture and planning examination. So GATE AR paper qualifying percentage was, the year before it also it was approximately 24%. So as I told you, GATE 2023 based on the cutoff and the qualification percentage, it is slightly towards the difficult end that the question paper standard is set to. So because it was a bit difficult, you can say the cutoff was lower, or the cutoff was lower, the qualification percentage also was a bit low. Changes from each year, but that's what your competition is going to be. So I would say it is not a very easy examination. In terms of competitiveness, it is competitive with a percentage of less than 25 qualifying percentage. Now moving on to the last point, what is the relation between the score and the rank? So if you look into the distribution, so this is a graph which is based with, so all these data points are taken from the official website of GATE 2023. So they publish the statistics in various tables. So I've compiled them to make you understand on these points. So the third main input which I thought is important in the introduction is to know about the relation between the marks and the rank. So if you see the marks distribution of plot on the x-axis, here you have the number of candidates. Most of the candidates, close to 300 candidates, are in the range of 11 to 20 marks, and 11 to 20 marks, if you see, it is less than the general categories cutoff. So most of the students, that's the reason you see qualifying percentage is very low, only 21%. So most of the students, they have a score below 30 itself, which is below the cutoff mark. And if you're targeting for the best colleges, that is for IITs, you need to have a rank below 150 for sure. So for general category, you should expect, you can easily get into courses at IITs, various IITs, depending on the course, it will be of different rank, but you should target for a double-digit rank to easily get into IITs. Now, if you observe, there was only one student who scored, or one candidate who scored more than 70 marks last year, that is 2023 paper. 25 candidates, 24 plus 1, 25 candidates scored more than 60 marks, so not that difficult, scoring 60 out of 100. And more than 50, only 134 plus 24 plus 20 plus 1, so it's basically around, I would say, 145 or so, or 155 or so. So that's the number of candidates. So you should have a double-digit rank to easily get into IIT. So you should be among the top, say, 100 students. To get that, it's not very difficult with a proper plan. You need to have a general score above 55, depending on the difficulty level of the paper. Last year, it was around 51, 52. Generally, if you take an average across past few years of data points, it is more than 55. So that is your target. If you're preparing for GATE and want to get into IITs, your target score 55 plus. If you get 60 plus, that would be even more advantageous. You can get into almost any course you want. So that's basically because you can see here only 25 candidates scored more than 60 in last year's paper. So that's about some key takeaways from GATE 2023, which I thought are important in the introduction. So just to summarize, you are getting into a test which is a bit competitive with around 20% of qualification rate, and your cutoff is going to be approximately around 40 marks. You can target for the higher end, and your target score should be somewhere around 60 marks to get into the best colleges, that is IITs. So that's a summary on the takeaways from last time's examination. Let us now get into the details of the exam itself. So how should you prepare? So before we know how to prepare, let us see what is the pattern of the paper, types of questions, number of questions, and all. So the question paper, so the exam pattern has been updated from the year 2022. So if you look into GATE architecture particularly, the revised syllabus, the syllabus for the examination is generally revised once every, say, 8 to 10 years. So the last time when the syllabus was updated or syllabus was revised was in the year 2021. So for GATE 2021, revised syllabus was introduced. GATE 2022, a major change in the pattern was introduced. So we are talking about the new exam pattern here. Earlier, before GATE 2022, there was only a single question paper with only general aptitude and architecture part. But now we have general aptitude. So there are 4 parts overall in the examination. So let us get to know the parts of the exam. But before that, overview of the exam. It is a 180-minute examination. That is 3-hour examination. In these 3 hours, you will need to answer a total of 65 questions. That's the total number of questions you will have. And the total weightage of the exam is going to be 100 marks. And like I told you, if you want to get into IITs, you are going to target for 60 or 60 plus. So around 60 marks is what your target is. That's about the duration, overall duration. Getting into the details of the exam pattern, as I told you, the exam will be having a total of 4 sections or 4 parts. General aptitude is the first part, which is basically common to everyone in GATE examination. So general aptitude, it not only includes quantitative. So on the general aptitude, you will have a total of 10 questions. I'll talk about the details of the syllabus in a while. But before that, general aptitude, remember, includes the topics of quantitative ability, verbal ability, reasoning as well. So it includes logical reasoning, it basically is a section which covers not only quant but also verbal and reasoning as well. So we'll go through the details of the syllabus. You have spatial reasoning and also verbal reasoning both. So total 10 questions from the general aptitude part, and the weightage is going to be 15 marks. These 15 marks are very crucial to boost up your score, to boost up your rank in the examination. So that's about general aptitude. This is basically common to everyone in GATE exam, not only in architecture and planning. Other than that, you have part A, B1 and B2. Now part A is referred to generally as the common part. And this common part, you will be having a total of 39 questions. And these 39 questions, you will be having a combination of 1 mark and 2 mark questions both. The total weightage of this part is going to be 60 marks. So this includes various types of questions. We will also discuss about the types of questions here. So in general aptitude, 10 questions. Generally, if you look into past papers, all the questions have been of MCQ type only. All these questions have been of MCQ type. Generally 5 questions with 1 mark, 5 questions with 2 marks. So it's 15 marks in all. General aptitude part is simple. However, in part A, that is common part, the 39 questions, you will have MCQ questions, numerical answer type NAT questions, and also multiple select MSQ questions. This multiple select is a new pattern which was introduced from 2022 year itself. So that's something which you need to take a note on. So we'll discuss about the pattern of the questions also. So part B1 and B2. Now from this, so part B, you'll be having 2 parts within part B, B1 and B2, and you can select any one during the examination. You can select any one part during the examination. A1 is basically the architecture part, and so B1 is architecture part and B2 is the planning part. So architecture part, that is B1, includes topics of architecture, particularly like building construction, building materials, history of architecture, structures. Architecture based subjects are included in B1. And B2, that is planning part, you have planning based subjects mainly like transportation, planning legislation, planning techniques management, urban planning. So these are focused on in part B2. So all these subjects which are listed on like transportation, urban planning, they are also in the common part as well. So we'll talk about the syllabus in a while, but basically B1 and B2 are slightly advanced, particularly focusing on the core areas of architecture or planning, whichever you're interested in. So that's about the overview of the exam pattern. General aptitude, 10 questions with 15 marks. So B1 and B2 both have 16 questions each. You can select any one like I told you. So whichever you select, you will need to answer 16 questions with a weightage of 25 marks. So the total is 15 plus 60 plus 25. That's the total weightage of 100 marks. Even in part B1 and B2, you will have all the 3 types of questions: MCQ, NAT and MSQ questions. With respect to the selection of any one part, there are few confusions, few points which students are generally confused. Number 1, when can you make the selection? Not during application, because the deadline for a GATE application is already done, and I'm sure all of you have already applied for the examination for GATE exam. So you are aware that there is no need for you to select which part you're going to attempt during the course of application for the examination. You can make that selection of B1 or B2, it's or any one. You can select that during the course of the examination. So when you sit in front of the computer on the day of the examination, you can have a look at the 16 questions in the architecture part. You can have a look at the 16 questions in the planning part, then make your call, whichever you think is easy for you to score the marks. You can start answering the questions of that particular part. You can select it during the course of the examination. You can also change, like if I, for example, if I say you started selecting architecture part and started solving, but you found it to be difficult, then you can change your part to B1, B2, that is planning part, and start continuing in that. So you can, that's possible, you can switch between the parts during the course of the exam, but you should try not to do that. To minimize your wastage of time, you can stick to any one part. You can attempt any part, that's perfectly fine. As far as that's something which students generally have a doubt on. Students also have a general doubt with respect to selection of a part. If you want to get into M-Plan, should you select planning? So many students have this question. I would say at this point of time, there is no such rule except for MArch at IIT Kharagpur at IIT Kharagpur in MArch course, which is a very so it's a course which was launched very recently. That's the only course where they have specified that you need to attempt the architecture part to get your admission in MArch at IIT Kharagpur. For all other courses, including MPlan and at various IITs and NITs, there's no such rule that you need to select B1 or B2. You can select any part. So it's so to just clear that point, you can attempt the architecture part, that is B1, and still apply for MPlan courses as per the rules at this point of time. If IITs or NITs make any change in the rules for admissions, we will put out the admission, we'll put out that information on all the social media handles, including YouTube, if there's an update in this regard. But at this point of time, there's no such rule. However, in your GATE scorecard, it will be mentioned which part you have attempted. Right, so that's the reason in MArch at IIT Kharagpur they have specified that you need to have a score from B1. That's architecture part. Only then you can apply for the MArch degree. So that's a small point which students have a confusion regarding the selection and the relation with respect to the course which they're applying for. However, I would say you can make a final call during the examination too. You should be equally prepared for both B1 and B2 to have a better chance of scoring well in the examination, scoring a good rank in the examination. However, you can build up your strategy regarding this based on your strong areas. What ultimately matters is your score. So you just need to focus on maximizing your score. Select a area which is strong in, work on your strong areas. That is something which I would suggest you here. Let us briefly discuss also about the types of questions before I move to the next point. There are 3 types of questions like I already told you, and you will be having both 1 mark and 2 mark questions. Questions have 2 different weightages. You will have 1 mark questions and 2 mark questions. In 1 mark questions, you will be having MSQ, so you'll have all the 3 types. You have multiple choice questions. So let us discuss about these 3 types. MCQ, multiple choice question, is where you will be having 4 options, A, B, C, D. And any one option will be correct. Multiple choice is basically you will need to select any one option. Like option A can be correct or option D, you can make one selection. It will be mentioned on each and every question which type of question it is. MCQ, MSQ, that will be mentioned in the question paper on the GATE portal. When you attempt it in the examination, it will be written which question is it. If it is MCQ, you can make only one selection. Any one answer will be correct. The second type is multiple select question. Here as well you will have 4 options A, B, C, D, where one or more options can be correct. 1 option can be correct, 2 options can be correct, 3 options can be correct, or all the 4 options can also be correct in MSQ. So it's not like in a MSQ question or multiple select question, it's not a rule that you should always select multiple options. There are cases where only 1 option also can be correct. So many students have been misinformed regarding this as well. Particularly students who don't revise the past papers, who don't understand the pattern of the examination before attempting the test. They tend to do these mistakes. They think, okay, multiple select, you need to select multiple options. No, that's not true. One option can also be correct. That's multiple select question. And finally, you have numerical answer type question where you will have no options at all. You will not have any options here. In this, you will just have an input box, and in this input box, you will need to type in your numerical value. The numerical value, so you will be basically having a number panel with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with a decimal point and also with a minus sign. You can also have negative answers like in the past papers in 2022. If I give you an example, there was a question with answer minus 20. If you just type 20 and come, you will not get your marks. So there's a possibility for you to enter minus sign as well. There can be negative answers. The answers not necessarily are always integers. There can be decimal places also, like answer can be minus 20.5. So decimal point also is available. So that's about NAT question where you will not have any option but just an input box with numerical values with a decimal point and a negative sign. So that's about the numerical answer type questions. And regarding the negative marking, only multiple choice questions have a negative marking. This is the only type where you have negative marking. What do we mean by negative marking? If you have an incorrect attempt, if answer A is correct but you made a selection of answer as B, that's an incorrect answer. For every incorrect answer you will be losing minus 1/3 of the weightage of it. So if it is a 1 mark question, you will lose minus 0.33. If it is a 2 mark question, you will basically lose 0.67 marks, minus 2 by 3, the negative mark. So negative marking is 1/3 or minus 2 by 3. For 1 mark questions, it is minus 1 by 3 negative marking. If it is a 2 mark question, the negative marking is minus 2 by 3. That is minus 0.67 is the negative score which you get for an incorrect attempt. Remember, you will get a negative marking only for incorrect attempts. If you leave the question, if you don't know the answer and leave it, you will not have any negative marking for such questions. And the good thing about multiple select and numerical answer questions are, for both these types, there is no negative marking in the GATE exam. So if you have an incorrect answer in the numerical attempts or also in the multiple select question, the only reason you have negative marking in multiple choice is people tend to do guesswork if you don't have negative marking. So to avoid guesswork in the examination, negative marking is introduced only for multiple choice questions. Guesswork is very difficult in multiple select and NAT question, because of which there is no negative marking in these questions in the GATE pattern. So that's about the overview on the pattern of the examination. So we have discussed about the sections in the exam, number of questions, the weightage, the time duration, and also the negative marking and types of questions, which are further divided into 1 mark and 2 mark questions. You can get all these questions in any of the section, be it common part, architecture part, or planning part. Final point, there is no subdivision. So it's not like for general aptitude you will have first 25 minutes or half an hour. There is no such rule. You will have a total of 3 hours. You can work on any part you want. You can start with B1, then move to common part, then move to general aptitude. You can start with general aptitude. It's completely up to you. You can switch between the sections during the course of the examination multiple times without any restriction. So that's with respect to the exam pattern. Moving further, let us now look into the details of the exam syllabus, the most important part. As far as the syllabus of the examination is considered with respect to general aptitude, as I told you, the syllabus for GATE examination, GATE architecture was updated, not only architecture, for all the papers. GATE syllabus was updated in the year 2021. So when the exam syllabus was updated in 2021 year, under general aptitude, 2 new sections have been added. Earlier it was only verbal ability and quantitative ability, but now you have analytical aptitude and also spatial aptitude, or you can say reasoning part in simple terms. Spatial aptitude basically includes analytical reasoning of mirror images, water images, scaling, rotation, so counting the surfaces, also folding and grouping things. These are included in spatial aptitude. In analytical aptitude, you have analogy based questions, numerical relations, and also general reasoning as well. And quantitative aptitude basically includes the questions. So simple math, could be time and work, it could be logarithmic values based, logarithm based questions. You can have permutation, combination, probability, statistics, even matrices. You can get questions from any topic of mathematics. And verbal ability, finally, it includes basic passage comprehension based questions and also other grammatical questions based on English. So in the examination, these parts basically are very vast. However, it will be having a fixed weightage of 15 marks, which are very crucial. The best way to target the general aptitude part, many students have this doubt, how should we clear or how should we practice general aptitude? Best way is only to practice questions. Try to practice as many questions as possible. Try to set a target daily from now for the next 3 months before your examination. Set a target that you will need to solve 15 questions or 20 questions on daily basis. If you're setting that target, having a continuous preparation. So 1 day or 2 days of effort is not sufficient. This is not a subject, unlike other subjects. Like for example, if I take a subject from architecture, something like say fire safety, you can spend 2 or 3 days and complete the subject of fire safety from standard documents like NBC, some IS codes and all. You can complete the topic of fire safety within those 2 or 3 days for the examination. But general aptitude is not something which you can dedicate a definite time for it. It is something which requires a continual effort. So spend a half an hour time or 1 hour time on daily basis for the next 3 months. That should be a target for reasoning, aptitude and verbal ability part. However, let me also tell you something good about the general aptitude part, or something very interesting for you with respect to general aptitude part. That is, this section is by far the most easiest in the exam. The questions are not very tough. You can have a look at the past papers. Out of 10 at least a minimum of 5 to 6 questions will be very simple and easy. So those 5 or 6 questions are where you need to capitalize on and boost up your score. Target for a minimum of 12 marks from general aptitude. So most of our toppers also from a past experience, we have seen anyone with a double digit rank generally has a score of 12 plus. There are very rare instances where students score a less mark in general aptitude and still have a wonderful rank. That's very rare. So target for 12 plus in the general aptitude part. That is something which I told you the target also for it and how to tackle that. Spend a dedicated time on daily basis on this subject. Let us now move into the details of the architecture and planning part. As per the official syllabus, common part has a total of 7 sections, which include architecture, planning and design, where you have subjects like architectural graphics, which include color theory, principles of design, design standards, which include CPWD guidelines for barrier-free environment, NBC guidelines for standards of buildings. All these are included in architecture, planning and design. Then you have section 2, which is mainly about construction management, which includes the topics of project management and also estimation and valuation part. So all that is included in the second section, that is construction management. Section 3, which is about environmental planning and design. Under this, you mainly have the topics of say environmental pollution, ecosystems. So these topics are included in the environmental planning and design. Then you have urban design, landscape and conservation. It is clearly evident from the name of the section what it includes. It includes the topics of urban design, landscape architecture and also conservation part. Section 5 is about planning process, which mainly focuses on the basic planning theories, understanding the basics of urban planning. Then you have section 6, which is housing, which mainly focuses around the definitions and standards in the area of housing and also real estate valuation. These are included in section 6. Section 7 includes services and infrastructure, which includes topics like water supply, solid waste management, sewage treatment. All these are included in even transportation. Basics of transportation are included in services and infrastructure. Something important to note down: there are topics which fall under common part and also part B. Like for example, transportation. Transportation is also in section 7. Transportation is also in section B 2.3. Infrastructure planning, it includes transportation. Similarly, with respect to water supply. Water supply is a part of section 7, services infrastructure, and also is included in the building services, that is section B 1.3. So there are subjects which fall into multiple sections after the change in the pattern. For such subjects which are falling into both common part and the part B, you should consider them to be planning a common part subjects and accordingly prepare. Like you cannot leave out any part of water supply, any part of transportation. However, questions from these subjects like transportation and all, you will get advanced questions in the part B. Simple level of questions, all the basics are included in the common part. So that's a brief overview on the syllabus. So details of each of these sections are given in the detailed syllabus. We will talk about our plan for the classes also in crash course in the next point. So as far as part B is considered, you have architecture part and planning part. Both in architecture and planning, you will have 3 sections each in the official syllabus. There is section B 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. Similarly, for planning part also you have 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3. In the architecture part, section 1, that is section 1.1, it includes history and contemporary architecture, which includes various styles of historic styles, including church architecture like Gothic architecture, Renaissance. It also includes Indian styles, which include temple architecture, Buddhist architecture. It also includes contemporary styles of modernism, postmodernism, Bauhaus. There are various styles in contemporary architecture too. All that is included in section B 1.1. Under B 1.2, you have building construction and structural systems, which includes building materials, building construction, and also the subject of structural systems, that is building structures, calculation of bending stresses, shear stresses, bending moment, shear force, understanding columns and truss systems. All that is included in section B 1.2. Section B 1.3 is building services and sustainability, which focuses on the topics of lighting, acoustics. All these are included. Building services including water supply and plumbing systems. All that is in section B 1.3. Similarly, in planning, you have 2.1, which is regional and settlement planning, where you have topics of planning theories basically under this. Then B 2.2, you have the topic of planning techniques and management, which focuses on planning legislation, GIS, surveys. All these are included in B 2.2. And the 2.3, you have infrastructure planning, which mainly focuses on transportation or advanced transportation. So that is basically about the overview of the syllabus for the examination. The total number of sections is 13. However, there is a say issue on this new pattern of the syllabus. Like I told you, if you look into the topic of water supply, it is both in section 7 and also in B1.3. If you look at the transportation, it is both in section 7 and also in 2.3. Not only that, these boundaries are not rigid too. For example, if you take the subject of air conditioning systems, in the official syllabus, it is clearly mentioned under B1.3 in the services part. You have the topic of air conditioning systems. However, there was a 2 marks question on air service or air conditioning systems in the common part in the year 2022 question paper. So the boundaries are not rigid. You can still get questions from the subjects of architecture in the common part. So considering these points, it is always advisable that you study the basics. You can for sure have a target, like you can say if you feel that planning is your strong area, you can focus on the 16 questions of B2. But then basics of all the subjects, you cannot leave out any subject. Basics of all the subjects is something which you should put efforts into and prepare for before the examination. So that is something which we would be suggesting you with respect to the part with respect to the question paper. Just to add to it, remember, majority of the questions, that is 39 questions with the maximum weightage, that is 60 marks, is for the common part. So common part is by far the most important part. Don't get into the nitty-gritties of what is in B1, what is in B2. You can have a generalized idea. Don't waste a lot of time onto it, because part B is only for 25 marks. Rather, strategizing on the details of which subject falls under B1 and B2, you should focus on learning the basics of everything. That would be our approach even in the crash course for this GATE 2024 examination. So that's a brief overview on the syllabus for the examination. Now, moving further, let us look into the details of the structure which we will be following in the crash course. So how are we going to help you prepare all the 13 sections for the examination? Like I told you, because there are overlapping gray areas also in the official syllabus in various sections, we follow a clearer approach with 24 list of subjects. So if you study all these 24 subjects which are listed, it will include all the topics of the official syllabus of the common part, architecture part, and also planning part. All the 3 areas will be covered. So we have divided, rather than sections, we have divided the official syllabus into 24 individual subjects. These 24 subjects, there is no particular pattern or order which you need to follow. There is no major link between them between these individual subjects. Like if you look into climatology, it in itself is an individual subject. Irrespective of if you have studied history of architecture or not, you can still understand climatology. So that's something which you need to remember. These are 24 individual subjects which you need to prepare for. So we will be providing you with classes, study material, test series for each and every subject. That is all the 24 subjects. Your preparation will be completed in the crash course. So that's crash course is not something where we leave out any subject. We do study everything. The only thing is the number of hours or efforts you will need to put into. You will be having classes 6 to 7 days per week, almost on daily basis. You will be having classes 2 to 3 hours, generally 3 hours of class every day. So that is something where we will need your dedication on. We from our end will be dedicated in teaching you with everything which is a part of the syllabus, but you from your end should be equally dedicated. Not let any subject miss out from your self-study part as well. So this is the list of 24 subjects, which includes various subjects including architectural graphics, history of architecture, climatology, lighting and illumination, acoustics, ecosystems and building rating systems, materials, construction, so on. You have urban planning, urban housing, landscape, urban design, HVAC systems, fire safety systems, elevators, escalators, minor and major. All the subjects are included in these 24. However, general aptitude includes the 4 parts which I talked about: spatial reasoning, the analytical reasoning, general quant, and also verbal ability. All those are included in the general aptitude part itself. So that's about the 24 subjects and the structure which we will be following, which is clutter free and easy to understand and refer, rather than going into the sections mentioned in the official syllabus with gray areas in it. So that's about the course structure. You will be getting a sheet when you enroll into the classes. Before attending the class itself, you'll get a sheet with all the list of 24 subjects in a table marked with subject. So like for example, history of architecture, this clearly falls under B1. It clearly falls under the architecture part, that is B1. For example, PTM, planning technique management, it clearly falls under B2. Subject like say solid waste management, it clearly falls under the common part, that is part A. Say building project management and contracts, it clearly falls under A, that is common part. So that table with which subject falls under common part, which comes under the architecture part, and which comes under the planning part, that sheet will be shared for your self-reference, based on which you can strategize your preparation accordingly. So that's about the 24 list of subjects. That brings us to the next point. What will be our approach in the classes? So the resources which we get out, it will be a multi-step approach basically. Step number one always will be live online classes. So just like this session, it's a live session where I'm teaching right now, and you're able to have a look at me, listen to the session on YouTube on live basis, right? So similarly, our classes will be conducted in live mode. You'll be having live online classes. Like I told you, 6 to 7 days per week, 2 to 3 hours per day. Generally 3 hours is the duration we have for each class. So live online classes with recorded backup. So if you miss out any lecture or some part of the lecture, you can rewatch that, or if you have any doubt on any point in the lecture, you can rewatch that particular lecture, because all our classes will be available with recorded backup and will be accessible on the mobile app 24/7, whichever time you want, whenever you want, before your preparation, before the GATE exam. You can always open that video multiple times and have a look at that particular lecture based on your availability of time. So you will not miss out anything. If you have some other office or some other work, if you have missed 1 or 2 classes, that's not an issue. You can always rewatch the recorded lectures on the weekend and get into track by the Mondays, that is by the Mondays class. So live online classes with recorded backup, that's the first thing. So we will be having live online classes for each and every subject of the list of 24 subjects. Once the live class is done, then comes the study material. You will have a set of 10 books and 1 set of memory cards, which includes in cards. I'll talk about the resources in a while. So the set of study material, which includes 10 books and in cards, that is total of 11 pieces, will be delivered to you at your address once you enroll into the class. And these study material books, those 10 books will include all the 24 subjects. So whichever subject class you have completed, you can go through the study material of it, which is an elaborate compilation of all the important points. We have upgraded our study material. It is of best quality possible for your GATE examination, which includes everything which is part of the syllabus. If you have a confusion on understanding some topic in the study material, particularly in those areas which are generally difficult for students to understand, we have also embedded QR codes into our study material. You can just scan the QR code in the study material and have a look at the video. For example, if you start studying about float calculations in project management, and if you're not clear with that concept, there's a QR code given in the same page. You can just scan that. It will open a link. It will give you access to a video where that particular page or that particular concept has been explained by our faculty team. So that is something which is very handy and useful for students in their self-study as well. So that study material, then once you're done with the class and a self-study of it from the study material, you need to go through the test series. In many cases, in some cases, you will also be given homework by the consult faculty. You'll be getting some practice questions or sheets. You can practice those questions from your homework. In addition to that, or if there is a minor subject where some practice sheet is not given, you can still practice the questions from test series. Test series includes more than 3,000 questions, which includes sectional tests and also mock tests. Sectional tests are basically subject-wise tests. Once you're done with the subject and study of it, you can attempt the test of it from the test series. If once you're done with the complete study of all the 24 subjects, you can start giving mocks. So you will have both access to sectional tests and also full-length mocks. Full-length mocks is after the preparation. So generally mocks are activated during the last 1.5 months or so. Once you're done with your complete sectional test preparation, you will get access to the mocks as well, where you can give those full-length tests, sit for 3 hours and get a experience of the actual GATE examination. So that's with respect to test series. So these are the multi-step. So that's a multi-step approach which you'll be having: live online class with recorded backup, then comes study material, then test series, also including practice sheets and homework sheets in some cases whenever required, whenever necessary. And if there are any topics where there's a lot of confusion, our faculty team will always be available. You will also have an access to a WhatsApp number where you can always post your queries and doubts or confusion, and the faculty team will always be available to respond to your questions and help you through your doubts in the course of your preparation. If required, if there's any confusion in the course of preparation, you can also connect with the faculty team over call also and have an understanding or get a clarity on the doubts which you're having. So that's with respect to the resources and the preparation strategy, the three-step approach which we follow. Look through the resources which you'll be getting. Like I told you, you'll have a total set of 10 books, individual sections or individual subjects. Like you have a separate book for planning technique management, you have a separate book for urban planning and housing, there's a separate book for also say conservation or urban design as well, architectural design. You have a separate book for urban design and landscape, separate book for history of architecture with a lot of pictures in color. So wherever required, there are images in color provided to you for use, particularly example like history of architecture, you need to have a look at the buildings, right? So that's where you also have color images. So you'll get these set of 10 books all delivered to your house, which is completely curated by our in-house faculty team, which is with the upgraded pattern considering the updated syllabus. So it is basically the most recent pattern, most recent syllabus has been considered for this updated pattern of a study material, which has just been updated from this year. You also have the set of in-cards along with the study material. In-cards is by far the best learning tool for things which you need to remember for the exam. Like example, say architectural standards. Or you also get some questions like, who is the architect who gave the saying less is more? So slogans or ideologies of architects. Like there's a past gate question very recently asked, which architect gave the ideology of ornamentation is crime? So such questions. Or even books and authors, or including architectural standards. What's the turning radius for a fire tender? What's the turning radius for a wheelchair? Such questions are asked. So all these aspects which you have to remember for the examination are all provided to you in the set of in-cards. Set of in-cards is a memory card set which includes 150 or 120 to 150 cards. I think it includes. So these set of 150 cards, it's set of one. So if you even study one card per day, you will be done with the complete set of in-cards. Within say, or you'll need to do probably 2 cards per day to complete it within a span of 2 months or so. Right. So you can say set a target. I think it has 120 cards, so it will take you 2 months if you do 2 cards per day. So it's a set of memory cards which includes all the pointers which you'll need to remember for the examination, including architects in the works, books and authors, landscape architecture, plant types in landscape architecture. Like you have questions like, what is the type of which there are some trees with columnar form, there are trees with rounded form, so form of trees, the bloom category, all these are mentioned. They also get questions like, which is a plant, which is a shrub, which is a grass cover, right? Such questions. You also have planners and theories. Various planning theories are also included. CPWD standards. So it will be a very good learning tool to memorize things and learn things. So you need to just study 1 to 2 cards per day on daily basis, and you will be done with a lot of topics and concepts which you need to remember. So we have curated by putting efforts into each individual card to compile all the important information. So like you see card number 1, there's an architect, Arata Suzuki. So that card talks about this particular architect, about his design style, some important buildings. If he has written any books, that will be given. All the points you need to remember about that particular architect is given there. Similarly, you have green cards for landscape architects. You also have yellow colored cards for international architects. You have these table based cards for books and authors. So all these are included in the set of in cards which is included in your study material set. That's with respect to resources. So as far as classes, study material, test series, including all the content, so whatever content you get from our end is something which passes through multiple stages of review and has been curated by our faculty team, who all have cleared gate examination with wonderful ranks and are all graduates from IITs. So you can be assured on the quality of the content which you get. You can also talk to seniors who have studied with us. I'm sure you know someone from your senior batches who have taken classes from us, and you can ask them or talk to them with respect to the quality of the resources which you will be getting from us. So as far as your strategy from your end, now many students have a question. So I'm talking about 24 subjects, 13 sections, such a tough exam with 20% qualification rate. So many students have the doubt, can we do it in 3 months or should we do it next year? I would say it is very much doable in 3 months, even if you are at stage 0 with zero preparation at this point of time. But if you are willing to put in efforts at this point of time on daily basis for 3 to 4 hours, it is very much doable. Nothing something which is difficult. Many students, if I tell you, crash course is equally successful based on our past students. So like in top 100 ranks, we generally have 30 to 40 students every year. Approximately 40 to 40 rankers, 40 top 100 rankers generally are from our college, from our institute, and generally from crash course we have around 15 to 20 students from it. So it is equally as good. So crash course batch has been equally successful and equally rewarding to our past students, just like full length courses. So do not have the confusion as to can we do it or not, right? You just need to stick to the guidance we are providing, stick to the approach which we are following. There should be from your end, you need to prepare notes from your self-study preparation and also your classes. You should also prepare a short notes. Typically, generally students maintain a small handbook with formulae and some important points and definitions. So have a short notes prepared. Revise during the examination. We will provide you all the required guidance. If time permits, we will also have revision classes if time permits. Other than that, we for sure will provide you guidance on how to revise things and how to be prepared for the examination. And mock test by far is the most important tool which comes in handy to tackle the tension and pressure which builds up during the examination or during the last few days of the examination. Attempt mock tests as much as possible. How to tackle the pressure and how to tackle the say the immense pressure which builds up before the examination. All those pointers we will be discussing, not only from subject point of view. You will get all the required guidance from our faculty team who are experienced in guiding students successfully for competitive exams, particularly like GATE, each year for the past few years. So that's with respect to the approach which you should follow. Our past results, so these are the compilation of just the result from the last year, that is 2023. 2023 batch by far has been one of our most successful batch with more than 40 students on top 100 double-digit ranks. So including multiple students having 6 and all. So you can also talk to anyone, like I told you, your seniors and all who have taken guidance from us in the past. If you have any questions, so that's towards the end of the session. I'll be wrapping up it by just answering some of your questions. If you have any, you can put down your questions into chat, and I see there are some questions already, so I'll address those questions. For any further query with respect to course fee, course duration, and or any other aspect with respect to resources, you can always get in touch with us on our mobile number 9560252666. You can call or WhatsApp us on this number, put down your query, and our team of counselors will be extremely happy to help you out regarding the enrollment process, and will help you through the process of clearing your doubts or queries, right? So let me look into the questions. So I see there are some questions put down by a few of you. So you just told that a student can attempt B1 and still be eligible for M-Plan. Is it vice versa too? I mean, are you eligible for MArch by selecting B2? Risha, that's what I told you. By selecting B2, you can get admission into MArch in NITs, SPA, and also at IIT Roorkee. IIT Kharagpur, the new MArch course which they have launched, that's the only course where they have made B1 mandatory. Exception for that particular course, by attempting planning part, you can get into MArch in other colleges at this point of time. If there's any update in that regard, Risha, we will put out the information into our social media handles. Like I told you, exception for one course, it is vice versa also. I hope that question is clear, that point is clear to you. Could you give us a brief idea on how virtual calculator would be used? Prajwal, sure, we can have. So during the classes, once you enroll, we will also try to put out a video in that regard, because I cannot open the virtual calculator right now on the screen because I'm not prepared that, but for sure we will try to include it in the classes. We do have a discussion, so for such queries particularly, we'll try to put out a video also if feasible on this YouTube channel in this regard. Any other questions? So I think any further doubts you have, you can put out your queries, as I told you, onto the WhatsApp number of ours, 9560252666. Put down your doubt. Can you please explain how GATE is important for government jobs? Anubha, I've already told about that in the introduction. Just to repeat my point, PSUs, public sector undertakings, which have recently recruited to GATE exam for architects, is only Airport Authority of India. Airport Authority of India recently they have recruited based on GATE 2022 score. So generally, there is 3-year validity for GATE score for admission into masters, but particularly for PSUs like Airport Authority, they just consider the GATE score of last year generally, or sometimes last 2 years. That's how they do it. However, for Haryana Public Service, so Haryana, actually not Haryana Public Service Commission, but in the town and country planning department of Haryana government, they have taken, so they released a notification for requirement of contractual post, not a full-time post, for contractual post through GATE exam. So if you're having a good GATE score and have a master's in planning, you can get that job on contractual basis, because for permanent jobs, generally in these state governments, they conduct their own examination. Through GATE, Airport Authority of India is the only PSU which requires architects through GATE. CPWD and other government agencies, they generally record based on their own examination. Just to add to it, if you are dedicatedly preparing for the GATE examination, that will for sure be important for all those government examinations, because be it DDA, be it HPSC, be it RPSC, be it CPWD, be it UPPSC, all these requirement examinations conducted by various public sector, service commissions, they are either a subset or majorly taken from the basis of GATE exam. Like Bihar Public Service Commission released a notification last year where they have gave the exam syllabus as same as GATE exam. So the same exam syllabus has been uploaded. So there are a lot of exams where same GATE exam syllabus is followed. In many cases, it is either a subset or derived from GATE syllabus. So if you're preparing for GATE, it will give you a comprehensive understanding on all the topics, including government requirement tests. And even our faculty team in the classes, we do take care that we teach you things at conceptual level, so that you can have a very strong foundation which will be useful for your future, including government examinations. So that's the basic difference between a normal self-study and a coaching basically taken from experienced faculty team, or from say someone who knows various exams in this competitive exams in the field of architecture. So I think that answers most of your questions. For any further query, you can put down your questions into our WhatsApp number, like I have mentioned on the screen. Thank you, and thank you each and every one of you for attending this live session, and hope to see you soon in the lectures.